right, hello. Coming off the Diamondbacks victory in the World Series there. It was a fun one to play, for sure. Anyways, we are into the off-season now. So, just kind of looking at the two teams that we have. Just kind of coming up with our off-season plan. With the Diamondbacks, I was kind of in a rebuild with them anyways. And they ended up winning it. So, I'm actually pretty happy with the team. So looking at the lineup, I mean, we have a fast outfield. So looking at what we might change is not really a lot. We have a couple of top prospects coming up with a catcher and a second baseman. So probably just going to end up re-signing Ahmed to play second base again until we can get the young guys up. Same thing with the catcher. I might just leave Kelly. He was pretty good for us last year, so I might just leave him in until a replacement proves that he's better. Of our guys coming up, we have Ford. Ford kind of dominated at AAA. Doesn't show his stats, but he was really good at AAA, so that's what I'm kind of hoping, that he just takes over for Kelly, and Kelly can back him up. Ford has better contact, and he's a lot faster too, so I think that would be ideal if he could just take over, but we'll kind of see what happens in spring training, see if he can actually hold on to that job. And then at second base, we have Merrill. Traded for him as the long-term second baseman, but he was 19, so we just kept him in AA last year. But we'll probably do the same thing, just keep Ford and Merrill on the spring training roster, and then we'll just see how they do in spring training to see if they can actually start or not. If not, we'll just go back to Ahmed if we re-sign him, keep him at second base, and then same thing with Kelly. Pretty happy with both of those to fill in until they are ready. So, yeah, otherwise, I mean, we have Gorman at third, still have Walker at first, so that's going to be kind of set. Mahoney was our first round pick, so he's actually pretty good, 66 at age 18, but we'll leave him in AA for a little while, let him develop. Yeah, and then pitching-wise, we'll see if there's an upgrade, but I kind of like playing the younger guys for now. Obviously, we need some bullpen guys. Yeah, and then obviously the Mariners side of things. Switching over to that, I think it's time to go big. So I want to make some changes there. We got to the ALCS and lost to the Yankees, so we're close, but we need to make a couple of moves in order to make that happen. So looking at the lineup as it is, I mean, we have a pretty solid team, so I like the start of our lineup. Suarez, I mean, he can hit home runs, but I don't like that 217 average there. So kind of like real life, we're gonna trade him. There's gonna be a couple moves that I kind of mimic with real life, so I'm probably gonna look at bringing Haniger back. We'll trade Suarez. I don't know where we'll trade him yet, but we'll trade him. Obviously, everybody wants Ohtani, so we're going to try and bring in Ohtani too. So it's going to happen. I just think Ohtani and Haniger would be perfect there, with Marte sliding into the 2-hole, and then fill out the back of the order somehow. Pitching-wise, again, I think Ray will probably trade Ray, just because that's real life too now. So the other ones, I think we'll just kind of how they go. We have a pretty solid rotation otherwise, so we'll kind of look at how that fits too. And we'll figure out what to do with Seawald too. We'll probably trade him just to keep that mimicked with real life, which means we'll have to find a closer. But the difference is I'm not going to be trading him to Arizona because I own Arizona and I don't think we need him in Arizona. So we'll try and package him with something else to bring in another closer, and I have somebody in mind, but we'll see what happens. So that's kind of where the rosters stand right now. That is the off-season plan. So we'll see what we can do and then hopefully make a run for it with the Mariners this time. So we're going for it. All right, we are back with the end of the offseason. I kind of run through really fast what all we did. So to start with, this is the first one. Obviously, this is the realistic one. So Robbie Ray for Mitch Haniger. That kind of gives us our big righty bat in the middle of the lineup, and just kind of keeps it in line with real life as well. Plus, we love Mitch Haniger, so obviously these guys both played the full year. So, all right, the next one we did to the Blue Jays. So, in return, we'll get Eric Swanson. We'll bring him back into the mix in the bullpen, and then we sent Diego Castillo back to them. So, kind of ends up being a wash on the two pitchers, but we shed some salary that way. So, all right. Lastly, the big one, I think. We're going to bring Edwin Diaz back. So, obviously, I don't know that this would happen in real life. Maybe it would, but this is kind of where I mentioned that my franchise is different. So, in mine, obviously, the Mets still have both Verlander and Scherzer. So, that's why you can see that they were like minus 22 million before this trade. So, fills in right away. And then Wu and Flexen. So in my franchise, Flexen had a like 3.2 ERA. So he was actually really good, and I relied on him a lot. So that will be the trade there. And actually, Edwin Diaz wasn't even fully closing for them at the end. So all right, the other big one, we're bringing in Ohtani. Obviously, like I said, my franchise is a little bit different. So the Dodgers are actually pretty loaded with pitching, so that's where the difference is there. But yeah, obviously, in the game you can't go over 35 million per year, so we just spread it out to 11 years. The last one is Blake Snell. We're gonna bring in Blake Snell. Snell, we signed him for 4 years and 75 million, which is 18. Obviously, my franchise is different, so he did not win the Cy Young this year. He had a 3.55 ERA, so he'll fill in nicely at the top, but it's not going to be like the Cy Young guy that we got in real life. So that is it from the Mariners front. So we'll start with the Diamondbacks. I think it's pretty much straightforward. Kind of ended up being kind of what I thought would happen. So we still have our Carroll, McCarthy, and Thomas outfield. In our spring training, this is going to be kind of like the final rosters here. In our spring training, Ford and Merrill actually did pretty okay, so we're going to let them start off the year. We do have Ahmed and Kelly in case both of them falter, so those are our backup plans. We also obviously have Drew Jones coming up too. I'm not going to actually start him on the roster. He'll start at AAA just so he can have consistent here, just to kind of show you that he's lurking. So that is the hitting front, and then pitching for Diamond. Fott just kind of barely won it out, but we're sitting pretty good for them too. So. Yeah, and then the one signing that we did was we brought in Rosenthal, so kind of just short up the back of our bullpen a little bit. So now we kind of have pretty solid bullpen as well. So hoping that Anderson kind of keeps it up, and then Bumgarner can reap. So then if we flip over to the Mariners side, this is where it's kind of fun. So we got Julio, Marte, Otani, Haniger, Raleigh, and then France. Of our question mark, but we might start Westberg eventually, but we're gonna kind of give Mayo a chance. Yeah, on the rotation side, before we get to that, basically I'm trying to keep it in with the budget in mind. We kind of had we were at 177 before, which is unrealistic for the Mariners. We did with that is this, and we'll get kind of a prospect package back: Painter, Bell, and Altman. Trade of Castillo, we now have Kirby in the top spot. So it'll be Kirby, Snell, Otani, Miller, and Hancock. Otani had I debated on putting him at the top, but he had the 3.53 ERA too last year, and then actually Kirby was really good. So looking at the bullpen, we have Sheffield with the trade of Flexen. He was our kind of long relief guy, so we'll bring Sheffield up, but we also have Sadler if he kind of falters, and then the back end of our bullpen is just ridiculous. So Swanson, Murphy, Brash for Diaz for the 9th. So we have a very solid rotation and bullpen, so that'll be fun. So then if we look at our budget now, looking at the Mariners, we're at 156. There's that one, and then on the Diamondbacks side, we have 6.5 million for the year, and a lot of that is just those two. So yeah, that is where we stand.